Oh, hi. Welcome back. It's time for the children's sermon. As you know, we've been making our way through the liturgical seasons. So we had an Advent story 2 weeks ago, and then last week we did the Christmas story. And so this week we move into the season of Epiphany. And Epiphany starts with the wise men journeying to see Jesus. So we're going to read from the Jesus Storybook Bible. Look, this one has a cover. And we're going to read the story of the King of all kings. Here we go.
The King of all kings. Far away in the east, 3 clever men saw the very same star, the star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign. A baby king had been born. They had been waiting for this star. They knew it would come. "He's here," they shouted. "He's here!" And I'm sure if you'd been there, you would have heard them laughing and dancing and singing until the sun came up. At dawn, they packed up their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all, frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Special, sparkly, lovely-smelling, gleaming things, just right for a king. The 3 wise men, actually, if you'd met them, you'd have thought they were kings because they were so rich and clever and important-looking, set off. They rode their camels across endless deserts, up steep, steep mountains, down into deep, deep valleys, through raging rivers, over grassy plains, night and day and day and night for hours that turned into days, that turned into weeks, that turned into months and months, until at last they reached Jerusalem. Jerusalem was by far the most important city for miles around, and, as anyone can tell you, that's where a palace would be, and kings are born in palaces. So that's where they went. But they were in for a surprise. They went to see King Herod. Surely he'd know where this baby was. But he didn't. In fact, he didn't like the sound of a new king. It made him cross. He didn't want anyone to be king except him. But Herod's advisors told the 3 wise men what was written in their books, what God had said about the baby king. "Go to Bethlehem. That's where you'll find him." Suddenly the star they had seen in the east started moving again, showing them the way. So the 3 wise men followed the star out of the big city, along the road, into the little town of Bethlehem. They followed the star through the streets of Bethlehem, out of the nice part of town, through the not-so-nice part of town, into the really not nice at all part of town, down a little dirt track until it stopped right over a little house. But wait, it wasn't a palace, and there weren't any guards, or servants, or flags, or red carpets, or trumpets, or anything. Did they get it wrong? Or was this what God meant? Sure enough, in that little house, there, sitting on his mother's knee, they found him, the baby king. The 3 men knelt before the little king. They took off their rich royal turbans and gleaming golden crowns. They bowed their noble heads to the ground and gave him their sparkling treasures. The journey that had begun so many centuries before had led 3 wise men here, to a little town, to a little house, to a little child, to the king God had promised David all those years before. But this child was a new kind of king. Though he was the Prince of Heaven, he had become poor. Though he was the mighty God, he had become a helpless baby. This king hadn't come to be the boss. He had come to be a servant.
Right. Riding along. Beautiful day. Sun is shining. Siri's telling me where to go. All right. I think I take a right here.
Recalculating.
What? This looks right.
Recalculating.
Are you kidding me?
Recalculating.
What? Oh,
I'm bad at this. I think I'm going the right way here. Just like this, right?
Recalculating.
Oh, I'm a mess. This is not working.
Recalculating.
Again? What a disaster.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that journey in the car with me. Did you hear how my GPS kept saying recalculating? Maybe you've used a GPS like that before in your car, or your mom or your dad. It is very helpful because it can get you where you want to go, but sometimes you make a mistake and then the system has to recalculate. In the story we read from the Jesus Storybook Bible, the wise men didn't have a GPS. They followed a star. And in following the star, they discovered Jesus in the most unlikely of places. And here's what's really interesting. A lot of people say that one of the things that Jesus did is he came to turn us around. When we make a mistake, when we go the wrong way, Jesus helps us get back on the right track. Recalculating, Jesus says, when we mess up, and he graciously and lovingly puts us on the right path again. And as we read in the Jesus Storybook Bible, the wise men came to see Jesus and were amazed by what an ordinary set of circumstances God chose to enter the world. So with all those big ideas in mind, these great promises that we get from the Bible, your homework, right, the way to put your faith into practice this week is I challenge you to make a map. Yeah, maps help get us where we want to go, right? Make a map of your neighborhood. Put some of the important places on it. If there's spots that you usually go or used to go, you know, your school, the library, the grocery store, your house, a friend's house, put it all on the map and anything else you want to add. And then make some special notes for places where you see Jesus in the world. Do you see Jesus sometimes at school on the face of a friend or a teacher? Maybe you see Jesus sometimes at church in the songs that we sing and the prayers that we say. You get the idea. We want to point out those spots where Jesus is showing up to redirect us. I'm Pastor Nate. This has been the Children's Sermon for the season of Epiphany. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.